Уважаемые дамы и господа, Bad City IBA.Pro представляет вам главное событие вечера. 10-раундовый поединок за вакантный титул чемпиона России в первом полусреднем весе. Добро пожаловать в черный угол. Боксер из Сочи. Встречайте, Vage Sarukhanyan.
So into the arena ahead of this battle for the Russian super lightweight title is Vage Sarukhanyan. 35 years of age now, is this muscular, broad-backed operator. Former WBC international champion. Way back in 2008, he took a world youth bronze at 60 kilograms, that edition of the global event taking place in Guadalajara in Mexico. From a fighting family, his brother, Vladimir Sarukhanyan, now an undefeated 20-0 pro, and he was a prolific junior. More on that as we go through the contest.
Он носит прозвище победоносец Georgii Chelokhsaev.
His opponent is a man who has held this title before. Former Russian national champion at super lightweight in 2017 and 2019. He was a WBO youth champion at super lightweight in 2016 to 2017. And has got a regional title, the Eurasian 140-pound light welterweight title multiple times. And on the IBA.Pro stage in March of this year, scored a huge second-round knockout with a looping overhand right, set up by working the body beforehand, which spun around and dropped Pavel Fedorov, the Russian boxer who now boxes for Serbia, who has a win over some terrific boxers, including over Sofian Umahar, the three-time IBA world champion, at the Kunlun Fight World Cup in China in November 2024.
Дамы и господа, поединок санкционирован Федерацией бокса России. Генеральный секретарь Александр Беспутин. Супервайзер Федерации бокса России Олег Агеев. Судьи у ринга оценивают титульное противостояние. Сергей Журкин, Ираклий Малазония и Алексей Мишалкин. Ваш судья-хронометрист Андрей Скороходов. И с ударом гонга рефери в ринге Алексей Козлов. Представляем вам соперников. И первым боксера в черном углу. Ему 35 лет. Его рост 171 сантиметр, вес 63,45 килограмма. Профессиональный рекорд 21 победа, включая 4 победы нокаутом, 4 поражения при 2 ничьих. Дамы и господа, мастер спорта, экс-чемпион WBS Intercontinental, экс-чемпион WBC Eurasia из Сочи. Приветствуйте, Vage Sarukhanyan! А вот и его соперник в золотом углу ринга. Боксеру 31 год. Его рост 173 сантиметра, вес 63 килограмма ровно. Профессиональный рекорд 24 победы, включая 16 побед нокаутом, 2 поражения при 1 ничьей. Дамы и господа, он бывший чемпион WBO среди молодежи, двукратный чемпион России среди профессионалов, двукратный чемпион Eurasian Boxing Parliament из Владикавказа. Приветствуйте, Георгий Победоносец Chelokhsaev!
Боксеры на середину. Парни, пожмите руки. Команда внимательно слушаем, правильно решаем. Команда брейк по шагу назад. Команда стоп, все действия прекращаем. По углам. Удачи.
So referee Mr. Alexei Kozlov with the final instructions as these two experienced operators do battle for the Russian super lightweight title. We're underway, 10 3-minute rounds. What a contest we have in store here. Both men with plenty of experience. Each man knows what it's like to be crowned a champion of some designation or other. The man in the black trunks trimmed with gold is Vage Sarukhanyan, 35 years of age, fights out of the Black Sea resort of Sochi, right here in Russia. Was actually born, as you probably have guessed from his family name, born in Armenia. His opponent is from Vladikavkaz in Russia, the man wearing the white trunks trimmed with gold, slightly taller of the two boxers in his all-orthodox boxer affair. He's just taken a sharp left jab to the body, and that is Georgii Chelokhsaev. And again, IBA Champions Night action in March of this year. He scored that huge second round stoppage. Brings to the ring 27 bout record, 24 victories, just 2 defeats and a draw, and 16 of his 24 wins come inside the distance, giving him a 67% KO ratio. My goodness, he demonstrated it at the expense of Pavel Fedorov in March of this year. And for Sarukhanyan, 28 bouts under his belt, 21 wins, 4 defeats and 2 draws. 4 of his victories have come inside the distance. 2 very accomplished boxers doing battle for the domestic super lightweight title.
Sarukhanyan choosing to box on the back foot, as he normally does, moving around the perimeter of the ring, trying to find the range with that jab early here, trying to establish some sort of rhythm. He's doing a good job at the moment, isn't he? Just keeping that distance. Good hook there. Chelokhsaev.
So 2 minutes gone. Chelokhsaev on the front foot, looking to take it to his man. Just feinting over that front foot, and again his hands are so heavy that his feints have to be respected, and that can be exhausting if you're on the receiving end of those feints and reacting to every feint that the boxer puts forth. But look at the good job that Chelokhsaev is doing in cutting off the movements laterally Sarukhanyan is seeking to employ.
Sarukhanyan landed a good right hand there, but Chelokhsaev pushing forward, as you say, Ron, making Chelokhsaev really work here, using a lot of energy. Chelokhsaev just missing there with the hook. Physically very strong, very imposing, isn't he? As he comes forward, lands a solid jab as well. Sarukhanyan doing a good job of evading it. Good round that, interesting round. Chelokhsaev was stalking forward, looking for his moment. You suspect he's gonna go through the gears as this contest goes on. This is for the Russian Super Lightweight Championship, so a lot on the line here for both guys. Sarukhanyan done well in that round, but you just suspect that he was the one that was working at a higher level there. He was going through the gears maybe a little bit more, whereas Chelokhsaev was just stalking forward, looking for his moment, trying to get into the contest. So it's going to be interesting to see if Chelokhsaev can actually close that gap and make Sarukhanyan work even harder than he already was in that opening round.
So into the second round then, it's scheduled for 10 threes in the super lightweight division. Both men weighing in comfortably inside the 63.5 kilogram limit, 139.99 pounds in old money. And again, look at the distance and the miles that are being clocked up by Sarukhanyan as he continues to sit and skate around the perimeter of the boxing ring, but doing a good job seeking to cut off those escape routes is the stalking figure of Chelokhsaev. Chelokhsaev stalking his man with intent, thrusts out a left jab, but that is an awful lot of energy being utilized and an awful lot of miles being clocked up by the shifting performances of Sarukhanyan, who was just put on the end of a looping left hook.
Yep, Chelokhsaev stalking forward well here, making his opponent Sarukhanyan work very, very hard. He's cutting off the ring very well. Chelokhsaev using the ring very well as well, which is going to be interesting to see who really gets a hold of this. If Chelokhsaev can actually cut the ring down, make him work, pin him in the corner. Again, look, you see him just stalking there, stalking forward, working the ring well, but look at that. Chelokhsaev made him miss badly there. Chelokhsaev stalking forward. I tell you what, Rum, it's not easy to pronounce these names. Your brain has got to be working all the time, as their brains are working all the time in there as well, because both guys have applied different tactics here, and it's who's going to come out on top. We're going to find out as this fight unfolds. We will see whose tactics work the best.
Sarukhanyan continuing to be kept on the outer edges of the boxing ring. Mixing our sporting metaphors for a moment, we're seeing long-distance athletics races of Chelokhsaev with a right hand that wasn't too far away, then an exchange of jabs where both of them were heavy and stiff. But once you get past a certain mark in a distance race, everybody hugs the inside of the line rather than staying in lane 8 to take the long way around. And that's the equivalent of what Sarukhanyan is doing here now. Of course, it's a tactic, but he's using far more energy. And of course, he will have trained for this. Back foot boxing an art in itself, as he attempts to reverse 1-2, right hand, then left hand. He has fought for a national title before when he boxed for the Russian lightweight title in 2021. Was unsuccessful in that challenge in June of that year, and he was out of the ring for 2.5 years after dropping that majority decision. So he hasn't been the most active. Here he is challenging for the Russian national title at super lightweight, and it's a different tactic being employed as he seeks to box on the outside and on the outside of the roped arena against the flat-footed stalker that is Georgii Chelokhsaev. 2 rounds in the book.
Yep, Chelokhsaev stalking forward, maybe a little frustrating at times. He's loading up too much with those single shots. He needs to relax, put the shots together. That's what they're fighting for. Right there, that beautiful belt. And here's some of the action in that second round. Chelokhsaev stalking forward, but missing wildly with shots occasionally. Sarukhanyan, there we see the success. Cheeky little jab through the middle was enough for me. Maybe just to nick the round again. Chelokhsaev, for me, doing the better work on the outside, although he's working harder, and that was a good shot there from Chelokhsaev, that landed. You just suspect, Ron, that there's a few more twists and turns to come here.
Indeed. Georgii Chelokhsaev back in the ring 7 months after a spectacular KO. And you see, again, as we said, one of those boxers, everything he throws is hard. Whether it's the body or head, whether it lands on the shoulder or forearm, he really does let his punches go with bad intentions. And that just sets the tone, and the other boxer can, of course, adjust to it, but it often means that they have to react to everything that is being feinted or suggested.
Yep, it's going to be possibly a frustrating night here for Chelokhsaev as he stalks forward, looking to land that showreel knockout shot. There we see him jumping up, and look, he was made to pay there. Sarukhanyan made him pay. He said, don't take any liberties, son, because I'm still in it, and I will throw my shots back. And that's exactly what happened there. This could be a frustrating night, this, for Chelokhsaev, if he doesn't establish something in this contest soon.
Taking the halfway stage of this third round. Again, Sarukhanyan doing an outstanding job keeping the movement going, maintaining a gap for the most part between he and his pursuer, Georgii Chelokhsaev. But this, a long way to go in a contest that is scheduled for 10 for the Russian super lightweight title. But again, look at this. He's like a jackrabbit up there in the boxing ring. Has not stopped moving. And the referee, Mr. Alexei Kozlov, just reminding him of his responsibility to engage, because he spent an awful lot of time on the back foot beyond punching range. And again, this is the boxing ring, not an athletics track.
I'll tell you what, Ron, I was just about to say that, you know, if it doesn't work out in this boxing ring, marathon running might be a big thing to do, and I think he was really well at it as well, because he's not just covering ground, but he's covering it at speed, and still seems to be plenty left in the tank. You know what? Chelokhsaev is stalking forward, but looking slightly frustrated here, and maybe losing these rounds just because of that. Not that Sarukhanyan is doing much, but he is landing the cleaner work, and that will be nicking him the rounds. And now you can see Chelokhsaev, getting caught because his boxing's going out the window here. He's now starting to get frustrated, and when you make those fundamental mistakes, you're made to pay, and then you try and pick it up even more. You're guilty of over-trying, and that may be the point here, because he's in against a real tricky little guy here, Sarukhanyan.
Continuing to flick out that peppering jab, and the movement has remained incessant from Sarukhanyan. Chelokhsaev reaching for an overhand right, but my goodness, a terrific exhibition of movement demonstrated during that round from Vage Sarukhanyan. Non-stop movement from bell to bell, and Georgii Chelokhsaev finding it very difficult to catch.
Yep, Chelokhsaev showing signs of frustration there in that third round. He was trying to close the gap, but the problem that he's got here is punching with his feet as well. You've got to separate your hands and feet in situations like this, where you've got to move yourself into range, then let your hands go. Don't try and close the gap with the punches, and that's what he's guilty of here, Chelokhsaev. He's moving forward and trying to close the gap, and he's missing wildly, and Sarukhanyan is making him pay. It's frustrating and maybe not easiest on the eye, but it's effective. You know, Sarukhanyan, he likes a little bit of bling around his waist. He's seen that belt, he fancies it, and at the moment, it's going his way. I think the big question is, can Chelokhsaev, can he turn this around?
So we move into the fourth round of a super lightweight encounter scheduled for 10. There's a hard jab to the body, and that's good tactical adaptation from Chelokhsaev on the first shot of this fourth round, because against a fleet-footed operator like this, he's having very little success catching the head because it hasn't stopped moving, because of sharp, fast-twitch movements like that. The body's going to move less, but a big swing and a miss with the backhand, because Sarukhanyan is doing a wonderful job maintaining his movement. Mention the fact that he was out of the ring for 2.5 years after his unsuccessful challenge for the Russian lightweight title in June of 2021. On his return to the action in February 2024, as he peppered his man with a jab and wasn't too far away with a right cross, then scores with a good right cross to the body, he faced off against a man we saw return to the winning track tonight, and that was Hariton Agarba. And he had to retire after the 8th of a scheduled 10 round, stopped inside the distance by Hariton Agarba, who was then 12-0 in February of last year, that contest taking place in Yekaterinburg. So again, given his amateur credentials, where he won that World Youth Bronze way back in 2008, and the caliber of opponents he's faced off against, as he scores with a good double jab and right cross, he certainly knows what he's doing in the boxing ring, and he's seeking to take away one of the main strengths of his opponent tonight, and that is Georgii Chelokhsaev's punching power. He's using and negating that with his non-stop movement.
Yep, and that's exactly what he's doing. Chelokhsaev is stalking forward, and there you see it, missing again, wildly, frustration maybe creeping in. Sarukhanyan is doing a good job here, manoeuvring from side to side. You can't pin him down. It's frustrating. It's actually, I'm getting dizzy watching him right now. I feel like I'm on the waltzers or something here. It's one of those ones. You're just waiting for someone to slow him down a bit. And that man, Chelokhsaev, he's the only man that can slow him down, but at the moment he's showing no signs of it in there.
It's very difficult to get to grips with. He's reduced the movement and he's standing his ground a little bit. But look at that, 3 jabs. None of them really landed, but they were blinding shots and they prevented Chelokhsaev from letting his own hands go while he was dealing with that incoming fire from the lead left stick of Sarukhanyan.
But look at the movement here with Chelokhsaev. The way he's moving around non-stop. I mean, he's going at some pace here, you know. Like, you're just looking, you're going, the boy has got stamina. Like, I'm talking about sub 3 hours in the Olympic stamina. That is insane, man. Like, he is going, and he's in his comfort zone.
He's settled into a groove now. And success in a boxing ring, success in sport in general can often be a wonderful elixir, because when things are going well, funny, but sometimes you don't feel tired. But when it's in a hard night, all of a sudden the aches and pains start appearing. But my goodness, Sarukhanyan is in a rhythm now and flowing very effectively indeed.
Yeah, he certainly is. And some of the action in that last round we saw there, Chelokhsaev pushing forward, looking a little frustrated. Single shots are not going to work, mate. You're going to have to put your shots together. There we see the single jab. That's where he needs the double jab. Close the range, let the right hand go, but relax and then switch the attacks to the body. Slow your man up. Sarukhanyan has not been hit to the body at all. That's where I'd be targeting. I'd be shooting the straight right hands down there, stabbing the jab there as well. Try and slow the man up, and he's just not doing it at the moment. So Sarukhanyan is the guy that's got the tactics right. And he's the guy that may be nicking the rounds here, because Chelokhsaev is not doing enough.
So to round number 5, and the vaunted puncher, Georgii Chelokhsaev, found his slippery customer, born in Armenia, but now living in Sochi. Very difficult to tag cleanly because of this quality right here. His back skimming the rope, gliding around the boxing ring as though he's on rollerblades, laterally left and right. And Georgii Chelokhsaev, look at that, when he gets close, he's able to ghost out of the corner, then deter his forward foray once again with a stiff jab to the body. This is a very clever display of back foot boxing being produced by Vage Sarukhanyan, and in the last couple of rounds he's done, for my money, a more impressive job of doing this, holding his feet sometimes and backing up the pressure fighter before getting back on his bike once more. Very clever display.
Yep, totally agree with that, Ron. You know, we're talking about him here. He's adapted this style to win this contest. He's moving more than we've ever seen him move before, that's for sure. From left to right, that was a good shot by Chelokhsaev. But again, look at the way he's just span him around, and there, peekaboo style, look, hands held open, nicks to 1, 2, 3, moves away again. Tactically, very, very good, and as much as you may not appreciate it, you know, with watching it at home, you got to appreciate the tactics this man's applied. He knows he's in with a heavy-handed opponent, and he's doing things that are going to suit him, and that is frustrate Chelokhsaev, and that's exactly what he's doing.
On the halfway stage, Georgii Chelokhsaev did get through with a double jab, but he's met with a single jab as he tried to disengage, making it an exchange. And again, look at the manner in which he's just taking a breather here in terms of stopping the movement. Took a good left hand to the body, did Sarukhanyan, and that may well slow down that movement, but he's back up on his toes once again, looking to maintain that gap and sharp shoot singles from both flanks over the blue gloves of Chelokhsaev. Good intelligent jab to the body from Chelokhsaev. Again, look at the gap that exists between the two, and swinging and hitting nothing but air, because the man in the black trim with gold has spun off the line back to the safety of the middle.
Yeah, trust me how frustrating that is when your opponent, you throw the hook and he's standing behind you. It can be a very frustrating night, and Chelokhsaev has had that right from the opening bell. He landed a good body shot moments ago. He should have built on that. That's where he wants to switch his attacks. Forget the head. The head's moving. The body doesn't move. You got to shoot downstairs now. Punch the chest, punch sides, punch the stomach, the midriff, anything apart from that head that's moving constantly left to right. And another round and you go. Sarukhanyan, for me, is maybe just doing it just sheerly on landing the odd pitter-patter shot here and there, but it's quite effective. Chelokhsaev, who's a good fighter, very heavy-handed, but likes an opponent to sit in the pocket just a little bit so that he can get off with something. Sarukhanyan is not doing it, not giving him the chance. And here we see Sarukhanyan throwing the right hand on the outside. It's the peekaboo style we was talking about, hands held open to stop the power of the shot going. So when the shot lands, you're not actually punching yourself through the glove. You keep like a peekaboo sort of style. Takes all the power out of the punch. Sorry. Let's see the more effective work here coming from Sarukhanyan. Interesting contest.
Time.
So the referee calling time, because I think the injury that was appearing beneath the eye of Sarukhanyan, beneath that right eye, is being inspected by our ringside doctor here at the SK Arena. She's happy, but you saw the end swell iron, the cold compress. That metal compress will be sat in a bucket of ice, and when swellings and contusions begin to appear, the corner man will have that as one of the tools of his trade and will seek to compress any swelling that's developing, because the last thing you want to be is a fighter reduced in vision by that eye swelling to a slit.
Yeah, well, the referee won't take none of that. If you can't see the shots coming, he will stop the contest, hence why he took Sarukhanyan over to the referee, over to the doctor just to inspect it. And trust me, when you're in that corner, I've had it before, that ice, the end swell, what they call it, the bit of metal that's put in on ice, when they're pressing that and they're pushing the lump away from the eye, it's not a pleasant feeling, trust me, it hurts, and as that swelling gets bigger, it hurts even more. So Sarukhanyan won't be enjoying that for sure. But I'll tell you one thing that's not packed up, that's his legs, his motor, because he is on his bike, isn't he? Look at him move here.
Terrific sharp shooting through the middle after holding his feet momentarily, and that's what he's doing now. Feinting with that left jab. And again, jab without reply. Attempted bite. The two men exchanging hooks on the inside. Before that, the jab came from Sarukhanyan. Approaching the halfway stage of this sixth round now. And this is as stationary as Sarukhanyan has been all night. He's just creeping atop the canvas on flat feet. He's looking to counter with that lead left hook.
Yep, Sarukhanyan maybe just running out of steam now. He's clearly gone past the halfway mark on the marathon, that's for sure. The old fatigue setting in, maybe in his legs, because he is now starting to hold his ground more, which will be good for Chelokhsaev, because he will be able to get off with those shots, and that swelling will give him added confidence as well. Stabs the jab to the body there, good move. Like to see more of that. Forget the 1-2 hooks to the heads. Let's work that body. Slow your opponent down, because that's where you're going to get success.
And again, it was his effectiveness working the body against the similarly fleet-footed Pavel Fedorov that set up the booming overhand right which spun the Serbian boxer around. But maybe Sarukhanyan was just taking a breather for the first 2.5 minutes of this sixth round, because now he's back up on his toes once again, gliding atop the canvas of the boxing ring, dropping his hands when he's out of range, and then darting out a left jab that seems to just irritate and deter. He put altogether more pop on that final left hand, closing seconds of this sixth round, and a lateral movement back in evidence once more beneath the boxing of Vage Sarukhanyan. My goodness, he's boxing a clever display here tonight.
Yeah, he certainly is. Difficult rounds to score this, because you don't really know what way the judges are going to go, what they're actually looking for, what they're scoring here. Chelokhsaev may have had a good round there. He seemed to be closing the gap just a little bit, or was that just a Sarukhanyan just taking a bit of time off? And as we can see there in the corner, we've got our cameras up close. There's the end swell, which is what they call it. Working on that one, the top and the bottom. They're doing a good job of keeping the swelling down with that. Good corner work that, because with only a minute in the rest period of a round, you've got to do a lot of work, and so they are working the bottom and the top together, as you can see there. And trust me, guys, for you guys watching there, that is a painful process, but what a good job they've done, because the vision is still very much there as we start round number 7.
Box.
The referee, Mr. Alexei Kozlov, taking a close look at that right eye, which is swelling. But as Spencer Oliver, the former European super bantamweight champion, pointed out, the corner with a double end swell, the circular one beneath the right eye, the traditionally shaped one, which is like an old school iron, applied to the top of the optic. In the previous round, Vage Sarukhanyan didn't move his feet. He's looking for that counter left hook again. He didn't move his feet as much in the first 2.5 minutes of the round before getting back up on his toes in the final 30 seconds of the round. What can Georgii Chelokhsaev do as he's feinting over that front foot, but he's being met with a fellow stationary boxer in front of him as he now seeking to play counter puncher, Vage Sarukhanyan.
Yep, Chelokhsaev now definitely is closing the gap, so he's got the opportunity to get off with those shots. Sarukhanyan is a case of, can he still box as effective? Well, the answer is yes with that shot. Lovely jab, and he whipped that right hook round the back of the hands there of Chelokhsaev, and that was impressive stuff.
Terrific two-piece combination flashed out by Vage Sarukhanyan. Now he's back up on his toes, getting the lateral movement going once again. Genius ankles, he's able to go from moving clockwise to counterclockwise, and almost a check right hand as he jammed on the ankles once more, changed direction, and look at the difficulty Chelokhsaev is having in closing the gap, because when he gets close, he's having to move his own feet, change angle, and go again. And again, he's doing enough for my money, Sarukhanyan, in that back foot posture to not give the impression that he's running, which I perhaps suggested he may have been in the first couple of rounds when he adopted the back foot posture. But perhaps in those early stages he was more taking a look rather than really establishing his back foot boxing skills.
Yep. Sarukhanyan is controlling the space well here, because although on the back foot he's not moving like he was before, but he's still doing a good job of making his opponent miss, Chelokhsaev, and making him pay, because he's just out of range. And there he's coming up with some good shots of his own. I'm with you, Ron McIntosh. I think that Sarukhanyan is doing enough in this contest, although Chelokhsaev is the guy that looks like he has the power. If you sit there with him, you're fighting the wrong fight. Sarukhanyan has not done that. He's boxed a perfect fight. The corner have done a great job on that eye, and I think he's winning this contest.
Good defenses with the gloves. They were bracketed around the head of Sarukhanyan to ward off the incoming fire, and not averse to getting physical on the inside, just to let Chelokhsaev know that he's not going to be out-muscled in those quarter encounters either. Another round in the book, and for my money, time is ticking away from Georgii Chelokhsaev here. Now we have to consider how are the three scoring judges seeing this contest. Will they favour the man who's giving the impression of trying to make the fight by taking it to the fleet-footed Vage Sarukhanyan? But again, back foot boxing and art in itself, and I think Sarukhanyan is doing enough so that he can't be perceived as trying to nick the fight. But look at that right eye as it continues to swell almost before our very eyes.
Yep, really is. It wasn't that swollen as he walked back to the corner, sat down, and it is virtually shut. But look at the job they're doing on that corner. Great corner work. Top and bottom of the eye. They are literally ironing out with those irons. They're doing a fantastic job. But yeah, it's one of those fights where you go, what are you looking for? Do you appreciate the art of boxing on the back foot, making your opponent miss and landing shots of your own, or Chelokhsaev, the aggression, but not really landing anything significant?
I think the boxer is perhaps consensus pound for pound top 10 all time. Will-o'-the-wisp Willie Pep has refused to have won a round without throwing a punch as a left hook lands from Chelokhsaev. Our good friend Alex Arthur told me during the course of one of his many international tournaments, he tried to do the same thing, and he went back to the corner and said, "Did I do a Willie Pett?" And his cornerman told him, "No, you lost 10-8. Not quite that extreme here, but we're seeing a very good exhibition of what I think is good fat back foot boxing from Sarukhanyan. Can Chelokhsaev do something with his attempted front foot pressure, but he's having real difficulty launching a sustained attack against this man who simply will not stop moving.
Yep, taking nothing away from Chelokhsaev, who's stalking forward. He's applying immense pressure and cutting the ring off, actually, very well. As you look, he's holding his back foot and he's keeping his shoulder pinned to his opponent's chin and doing everything he should be doing. But Chelokhsaev is just relentless with his movement from left to right, left to right. He's not sitting still for a second. Very frustrating for anyone to box. And he's pot-shotting, nicking shots here and there and doing enough for me to win the contest so far.
So halfway through, and again, look at how Sarukhanyan is able to appear on the other side of Chelokhsaev after he was looking to launch his own shots. That right cross wasn't too far away, but it's a case of one opportunity and done, because this man's movement is remarkable. 35 years of age, inactive over the last couple of years. I mentioned the fact that he returned after a 2.5-year absence in February of last year against Hariton Agarbut. Then 3 months later, he won in Moscow in May of last year, and he made his IBA.Pro debut, winning over 6 3-minute rounds 11 months after that. And his last bout was on IBA.Pro 2 6 months ago. Here he is again on the IBA.Pro stage, but this, a professional contest for the Russian title. What a beautiful counter right hand from Sarukhanyan.
He's doing the better work, isn't he, Sarukhanyan? At the moment, he's slipped into a nice little rhythm, and you just feel that Chelokhsaev maybe showing signs of frustration. He's not letting the hands go the way he should be doing. He's pushing forward, but those single shots are wrong, all wrong, and he's going to go back. He's going to kick himself for the tactics that he's applied here, because he's been looking for that single shot, that show-real knockout shot that doesn't come sometimes when you've got a tricky customer like Sarukhanyan in front of you. And for me, it's another round in the bag for Kanyan.
As you will know, Spencer, it's very difficult to knock out a man who is going backwards. And that is what this man has been doing for the majority of this contest. But I hasten to add, since about the second round on, for my money, he hasn't been running. He's been doing enough work on the back foot with sneaky attempted counters like that to make it a display of back foot boxing. And then he's slippery enough to spin away from the attempted counters. Now credit to Georgii Chelokhsaev, because he has never stopped pressing. I don't think he's applied sustained enough pressure to make life uncomfortable for Vage Sarukhanyan for any significant portion of any round.
Yep, I'm with you, Ron. I feel now that Chelokhsaev, he's going to have to do something significant here to get a foothold in this contest. Maybe needs the knockout to win, because Sarukhanyan, for us, although it might not have been that attractive to watch, has been very, very effective. And you do what you got to do to win. It's called prize fighting, and it's moving on to the next one. This might not be a fight that you'll remember, but you'll appreciate the skill set of Sarukhanyan.
And again, there are some professional judges who are at pains to point out that do favor aggression. And look at that, as Chelokhsaev practically running across the ring to try and get to his man. But in favoring aggression, which was a quality that they often associated with US fight judges when boxers would have to travel to Las Vegas and New York invariably to get a world title shot, particularly in the bigger weight classes. It has to be effective aggression. But look at that, a forward foray, and the jab is at the night air, because ghosting away to his right is the fleet-footed figure of the jackrabbit Vage Sarukhanyan. He has not stopped moving from opening bell to a minute gone here in round number 9. It's a remarkable display.
It really is. I mean, he's covered a lot of ground in there. I know how difficult that is to maneuver around the perimeter of the ring like that. non-stop for the best part of 9.5 rounds now, and you just look at that and you go, respect, my friend, because that's not an easy thing to do, to stay focused when you've got a guy pushing, making you work, making you move, the way that Chelokhsaev is doing. That's not an easy thing to do, so you have to respect and appreciate it. But Chelokhsaev there, having the best success he's had for some time, a looping right hand over the top. Can he build on that now? Because he will take something from that for sure.
Having success with his looping shots, there he goes in search of a left hook, but behind a low-held guard, still up on his toes and moving as fluidly as Mercury. Here's Vage Sarukhanyan shooting out the left jab, didn't quite find the range, but again, it's a shot that keeps Chelokhsaev occupied. There he does get closer with a cluster of punches attempted to the body, but then clock-killing tactics applied by Sarukhanyan. Chelokhsaev trying to feint and bob and weave his way on the inside. Effective defense by turning, but that was a solid right hand which ended up landing on the shoulder blade of Sarukhanyan from Chelokhsaev, and the man in the black and gold will have felt that.
Yeah, he absolutely would. Chelokhsaev been moving, slipping, sliding, taking shots to the body, to the shoulders. Oh, listen, he's going to feel it tomorrow, whatever way you look at it. He's definitely going to feel it in his legs for sure. The old lactic acid will have certainly built up on those over this evening, but tactically he's got this one spot on.
And there was a moment in this round a few moments ago when Chelokhsaev stepped to throw the right hand, but Sarukhanyan changed direction in front of him so he couldn't pull the trigger. There's a jab, and I just wonder whether Chelokhsaev has got to throw caution to the wind here and let shots land wherever they may, particularly down to the torso of his opponent, because he's got 3 minutes left. I think it is Sarukhanyan, this man, who is ahead, but again, the judges may prefer the pressure that Chelokhsaev is seeking to apply.
Chelokhsaev, though, yeah, he's applying pressure, but not really landing anything significant. All the shots, as we've seen there, Chelokhsaev missing by a proverbial mile there. Sarukhanyan, for me, doing the better work. He's the one landing the shots. Well, I take that back, because Chelokhsaev, he landed a shot there, big shot. There.
But he was answered immediately with the right hand. It may not have been as potent, and this man has shown his competitiveness by answering every time that he is tagged.
So now the question is, we're saying Chelokhsaev, he needs to find a knockout to win here, but what can he do different to what he hasn't done in the first 9 rounds? That's my point. You know, the adaptability, he's looked a little one-dimensional. He's tried something, it hasn't worked, and he hasn't been able to adapt. So unless he can pull something off sensational here, I think he may be looking at a loss here, because Sarukhanyan, for me, is a worthy winner.
With the finish line in sight, look at Sarukhanyan up on his... Look at that, the glancing right hand, because Sarukhanyan had spun off the line. Now, there was no counter. He made his man miss by turning it into a glancing shot, but he didn't make him pay. And that's when a boxer can be accused of running into just making the man miss all night. Although ring generalship, defensive responsibility is one of the scoring criteria that judges will use, but you have to put some offense on the back of it, and that's what Sarukhanyan is seeking to do here. Here, Steve, that's not going to be impressing the judges when you're just on your bike, maintaining the gap and not letting your hands go with a punch to penetrate the standoff.
Yeah. I think Sarukhanyan, feels that he's got this in the bag now. He doesn't really need that grandstand finish. He doesn't need to take the risk against the heavy-handed Chelokhsaev, and Saev stalking forward.
But again, there have been some significant contests in history where a boxer has taken this approach. Remember Felix Trinidad against Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya thought that he had the fight in the bag, got up on his bike, bell rang, and it was Tito from Puerto Rico who was declared the victor when Oscar De La Hoya thought that he had done enough, sought to see the bout over the line and avoid that vaunted left hook of Puerto Rico's favorite fighting son, only for the decision to go against him. So it's a brave tactic to adopt this type of safety-first approach in the final round, because again, we don't know what the judges prefer here.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been talking about through this contest, subjective scoring, what the judges go for. Is it the aggression, or is it the boxing skills and the art of the sport of boxing? It's going to be an interesting one because I think, Ron, that we could have some controversial scoring one way or the other for sure. At 45 seconds time, we're going to find that out. But for now, Chelokhsaev can't seem to close that gap.
But equally, Sarukhanyan hasn't really been letting his hands go either. I mean, he is doing here, holding his feet, and that's resulting in some trade-offs. But for the first 2.5 minutes of this round, Sarukhanyan seems to be intent on maintaining a gap, not sustaining any further damage to that eye, but he wasn't letting any punches of note go of his own. He was adopting this posture here, and I think that is a very dangerous approach in a contest where neither man has touched the canvas, neither man has dominated, and how will the judges have scored the preceding 9 rounds? Again, I think that Sarukhanyan has done enough, but we don't know what the scoring judges are going to say. And again, body language so instructive, Spence. As the bell sounds, Sarukhanyan feels that he's done enough as well. I'm inclined to agree with him. I don't think you could give him that last round because he wasn't seeking to engage. And look at the difference in body language between the 2 corners. We're going to the scorecard of the 3 scoring judges.
Let's see.
Well, be nervous moments for the boxers. The MC, Mr. Alexander Sedekov, making his way into the ring. He's in possession of the score totals. My goodness, both of the boxers will be replaying the contest in their minds now. I have to think that Sarukhanyan has done enough.
Конечно, дамы и господа, овации участникам титульного боя. Итак, по завершении чемпионского поединка обратимся к судейским запискам. Все 3 судей выставили одинаковые баллы – 96-94. Таким образом, единогласным решением судей одержал победу и стал чемпионом России в первом полусреднем весе Vage Sarukhanyan!
What a wonderful moment in the long, winding career of Vage Sarukhanyan, and just look at what that announcement means to him. He's been declared a unanimous point decision victor, and that is wonderful to see because back foot boxing is an art in itself, and he demonstrated that skill set beautifully tonight. A display of sticking and moving and gliding around the ring laterally, making it very difficult for his heavy-handed opponent, Georgii Chelokhsaev, to catch him cleanly. The former Russian national champion at this weight in 2017 and 2019, unable to get that title again. And wonderful to see that respect between these 2 experienced operators. And Vage Sarukhanyan, after coming up short in his challenge for the Russian national title at lightweight back in June 4 years ago, has finally got himself a national title. Let's listen in.
Всех благодарю за поддержку. Очень тяжелая была подготовка. Я старался, я шел к этому. Так как мы с Георгием были на подкасте, за 3 недели до боя мы сказали, у нас никаких оговорок не будет, мы оба в лучшей форме. Кто выиграет, тот станет чемпионом. Сегодня я выиграл, сегодня мой день. Я чемпион России, хочу поблагодарить всех вас, присутствующих. Отдельно хочу поблагодарить IBA.Pro 10, Умару Назаровичу Кремлеву, и отдельно президенту Сочи, федерацку нашему Илью Варову. Илью Варов здесь. Сочи, большой привет. Моей команде хочу большой привет сказать. Спасибо. ЮХЛ, спасибо спонсорам, то, что помогают нам. И моему тренеру Дмитрию Анатольевичу, и старшему тренеру нашему залу Эдуарду Викторовичу Кравцову. Спасибо ему за то, что дает возможности боксировать. Сегодня, как говорится, я был лучше. И, кстати, большое спасибо отдельно Бэт Сити за то, что дали на меня коэффициент 6,1. Мои друзья сегодня стали богаты. Благодарю вас. Всем большое спасибо.